yourself moments.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's very hard because it's such a slow process to ever get. You have to deliberately stop and smell the roses and realise that you've done what you always wanted to do. You know, it's very easy to just get caught up in it and never know.
So what was Bill Hartnell and the Lesbians all about?
That's been embroidered so much actually, but it was kind of a serious proposal, but it was a very new adventurous proposal. It was me trying to see if the new BBC range would be as adventurous as the new Adventures had been, and they were starting in a very traditional way. And it was William Hartnell. It was a space adventure about two princesses in love, and kind of it was a take on the Three Musketeers, trying to get not star-crossed male and female lovers together. And I think it was deliberately offensive to them, and they did turn it down. But you know, I think the New Adventures would have published that. I think I had a point, but it's now become an anecdote. You know, you can't trust everything I say.
What would you have been if you hadn't been a novelist?
I probably would have been a scientist, and in that I am a failed scientist. I did a term of astrophysics at UCL before realising that I really couldn't handle the maths. And I think a lot of that was that I didn't find as much romance in the science as I'd expected to find. And thus I flunked out, started to go down in the mornings in my fluffy slippers, and started to write desperately for anybody who would have me. And 2 years of gruel and poverty later, I got there. Somewhat, very slowly. So yes, if I could not have been a writer, I think I probably would have paid more attention at the science.
Are you from Manchester background, is it?
No. I've lived in Manchester. I've lived everywhere. I'm from deepest Wiltshire. Every now and then I lapse back into it and where be that blackbird all in and where he be.
Do you think your science background then has helped you to come up with stories?
Just thought, but not really. I think there's a general sort of science fiction reader thing, in that I like the real science. I'm a particular fan of the SF writer Stephen Baxter, who's a little disturbed to find that in Russell's Second Coming, he was the son of God, Stephen Baxter. One of Russell's favourite names, which is Russell wasn't aware of Stephen Baxter, the SF writer, but he keeps cropping up in Russell's work all over the place. And I've become quite matey with Stephen Baxter, and he says, "Is it me this time?" No, it's not you again. But, no, I like hard SF a lot. I don't write it very much. Yes.
Any more? Are you enjoying Torchwood?
Yes, absolutely. The first episode especially I thought was kind of my ideal TV show. You know, it doesn't get much better than that. And I love little moments like in that PJ Hammond episode recently, suddenly flashing back to Jack in that train, and suddenly anything can happen. We don't know, format is not constraining us. Cool stuff. I liked Helen's episode a lot as well.
Which was?
The third one, the device that...
Yes.
Yes.
One question I did think of, with you being in creative with Pete Tyler, did you have any input on his writing out in Doomsday, or the whole finale in Doomsday?
No, not at all. I'm always very flattered to see... I didn't expect references to Father's Day to crop up at the end of season 1. That was a complete surprise. We went to see the two-parter being screened at the BFI with a journalist audience. And when I heard the phrase "the oncoming storm," which is from my New Adventures, I just leapt up whooping. Me and Moffat sat beside each other. We went, "Ooh!" And the rest of the audience looked at us. No, and I was very, very flattered that he came back and that all that stuff became very, very meaningful. It's lovely when you create something and it goes on.
So that wasn't the plan at the time at all. It was meant to be a one-off.
It wasn't my plan at the time. Russell may have.
It might have been part of his master plan.
It might have been part of the Davis master plan.
Absolutely, which we're all enjoying. Any more questions from anybody?
Do you think Russell's already planted the seed for the programme to go on or not?
I think certainly he would not want it to leave when he left. Whether or not the BBC felt the same, I don't know. But this is somebody who's tried to plant a seed for it to be revived in 40 years' time.
Yeah.
He wants nothing more than Doctor Who to keep going.
I mean, as for this 12 lives, 13 regenerations and all that.
Well, I think that you know.
I mean, I think with the
Obviously, we'll have to stop after 13. You know, the show will just have to come to a halt. And never mind if we're still getting the ratings. It's
that's what I was thinking with Torchwood and this Doctor's hand, severed hand, and all that. So these little things, I think, as he already planting the seed or
A DNA clone or something.
yeah.
It would be. Let me see. We're on 10 now. 3 more Doctors is perhaps a little far ahead for even Russell to think. I'm not sure, unless he's planning to use up 2 really quickly, like in Curse of Fatal Death. You know.
Who would you like to see after 10? I mean, I hope then it goes on and on for a few more years, but who would you like to see after?
What's his name? Sanjeev Bhaskar off the Kumars, I think, would be tremendously English and wonderful. But actually, probably too old now. You need all conceptions of the Doctor as not a horny young man who will have romantic interests just will not work these days. He will be a young, attractive, charismatic lead.
I'd like to see Michael Sheen.
Yeah, Michael Sheen can do anything. I mean, you know, that would be really interesting. Perhaps I am not as up to date with your young, attractive leads as I should be, I must say. No, all my Doctor casting ideas are kind of old school Who ideas, which wouldn't play these days. I haven't actually been asked that for such a long time.
Any more questions from anybody?
Paul, do you think we'll see the animated on DVD?
Oh, I'd love to. This has been a continual quest of mine. There was just recently, well not recently now, over a year ago, the British Board of Film Classification cleared and rated all the various components of a Schalke DVD. And I've talked to the restoration team, they don't know why that was done. It might even have been done to clear bits for the recent Invasion clips, I don't know. But, because some of it was used on the Cosgrove Hall documentary piece of the Invasion. I would love to see it. I'm rather militant about this. I tend to grab members of the restoration team, beat them up against walls, going, "Why haven't you put it out?" I think another 9th Doctor might be difficult to sell, but you know, we're selling different Doctors all the time now. It's something I'm passionate to see, but it's completely out of my hands. I'd love to see it happen.
If it did happen, would we get commentary from you on this?
Oh yes, absolutely. This is when I was there in New Zealand, and if you compare my holiday photos with that, we toured the Lord of the Rings locations with the Lord of the Rings guidebook, which often meant climbing up to 30,000 feet in deserted ski resorts with no snow in order to look at a tiny, tiny pool where Aragorn had stood for a minute in the movie. But this was my honeymoon. But there's nothing like knowing that you're married to somebody as driving around New Zealand Lord of the Rings locations in a camper van. But Caroline has lots of photos, and this is Paul way, way behind. You can see me.
It's what being a fan's all about, doing things like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
We lost our our disposable camera on the slopes of Mount Doom. We had to look around in many acres of tiny black pebbles. So we found it as well, which was quite surprising.
Any more questions?
Would you like to write one of the new 10th Doctor books?
I don't normally do this, but I think it's reasonable to say that they asked me and I said no, because my prose stuff has got to go towards the novels now. I think they're very good. I think it's nice to see Jack Rayner doing those. Justin's a good line editor, and they sell very, very well, and they make some nice money for the authors, which is great. Nice to see Steve Lyons involved there as well. What was I going to say about that? Oh yes, and Jack's adapted my Robin Hood episode, which is very nice. There's an old school Target novelisation of Who Shot the Sheriff out there.
Wow. Yeah. Is that available now? Or?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Saw it yesterday actually in the Trafford Centre.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. More stones are borders, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It does actually have, from a script by Dominic Minghella written in the front, which is Tiger Aspect just sent us a letter saying we're so sorry about that. Oh dear. But,
Any more?
Well, I just want to ask, is there an author from the old series, or that you, or something like Terrence Dicks, do you think there was a place for his voice in the new series, if he was able to write for it?
if it were up to me, of course. Who else is there left now? I mean, Terence is the one. Seriously, heart and soul of Doctor Who. People will have suggestions. I'm sure there are many others. I think it's sort of a matter of prestige and modern television experience. I think possibly if Ronan Munro had not fled from Russell, as his latest DWM column reveals, but had turned around and gone, oh, I have an idea for another one actually. You know, you can see that working out because she's quite prestigious. I think these days you have to have current TV expertise, hopefully to quite a high level. Stephen Greenhorn wrote Wide Sargasso Sea and then pitched a Doctor Who idea. You know, that's kind of what it takes for a writer outside the fan tradition to have serious critical TV stuff on your side.
Any more?
In Russell's production notes, he talks about out of the blue moments. Do you have it?
Hugely all the time. Because it's become cultural currency again now, you know, and that's one of the nicest things, that it just shows up where you're least expecting it. Watching a documentary about Roman shows on British television last night, there's clips from the Romans. Science Fiction Britannia on BBC4 has been very interesting in this regard, actually. They've really placed Who in a cultural context in the history of SF, which is very interesting. What's the strangest thing? Being surprised by adverts for Doctor Who, what's it called, Battles in Time on ITV. I can't remember it ever getting onto the other channel. And Billie Piper's career is followed in every single detail by our local newspaper, the Swindon Evening Advertiser, because she's a Swindon girl, you know, local girl made good. So you get things like, and the Swindon Evening Advertiser is a full-size tabloid newspaper about Swindon, published every single day. You know, headlines like "Youths shouted at my car," full-page stories, and so. Billy cracks a joke was a headline the other day. A little column about something funny she'd said on set. So we've got down to individual utterances of her make the Swindon Evening Advertiser. And that's lovely where I live, because there's a real sense of, you know, people always in the locality always you know, appreciated her, and they really like to see her doing well. But I hope she doesn't read it, because she'd get the sense that they were just looking over her shoulder continuously. Oh, she made a joke.
Do you get recognised in the street from Doctor Who fans?
No. I hope it wouldn't be from my confidential appearances. They're on Wikipedia. It is not done to alter your own Wikipedia entry. But my photo on Wikipedia is me on confidential, kind of looking, I just want to send them a better photo. Would that be tremendously vain? But the Farringdon Folly, my local monthly newspaper, you know, will always report on my doings, because they've got to fill up their pages somehow. Nothing much happens where I live, thank goodness. It's a lovely town in that regard. I can. Whenever I've got something on telly, I can fill a room with people from down my local. And we always have a Doctor Who connection at our yearly arts festival. We had Dave Price, who builds lovely full-size new series Daleks, bringing one down and giving children rides in it all day. He gave 160 children a short ride in a Dalek across one day. It's absolutely wonderful. And of course I've done all the local schools. which, because teachers talk to each other, and you could never leave a school without somebody saying, "Oh, and my friend from this next school, so I've now done all of them, and that's done." Oh dear. But no, it's you don't get recognised. Writers never get recognised, thank goodness. I say thank goodness, I probably quite enjoy it. J.K. Rowling must have, it must have taken a while for her to get bored of that. Yes, I am actually, and I'm not an actor. Fantastic.
I wasn't sure that she was asked to write for the show.
Yeah.
J.K. Rowling.
I think Russell's already said that. I think in public that he asked her. He asked who was the other one? I can't remember, but no, because that would be so obvious and it would get headlines. Russell's always keen on. He won't get a headline for a headline's sake, but rather like Billie Piper, she could definitely do the job. And Sylvia Young called her the best young actress of her generation before she decided to be a pop star. So she was the best person for the job. But it being her, pop starlet, that got the headlines. And Russell, I think, always felt that if you could get the quality and the headline, then you were really in there. Daleks versus Cybermen. I mean, just how brazen is that? I mean, and now Julie Gardner was on the phone the other day, and she said, "We're auctioning off the Genesis Ark for children in need. People don't know how big this is."
It's going for a fair amount on eBay.
Absolutely.
Did you
hear how much the 2-day thing? £25,000.
£25,000. Well, me and Moffat are putting on place now. It's just £2,000 for a night. Blimey! Oh, that's
Are you
great.
going to the Cardiff thing tomorrow?
I was asked to go to the concert, but I'm actually I'm being there for the baptism of another goddaughter tomorrow. So, but I think it's going to be a lovely occasion. That concert, it sounds great.
Sold out in minutes, didn't it?
Yeah.
Half an hour, I think.
Any more?
Yeah, I'm intrigued. As you know, the final episode of this series, the Radio Time to the Cabin, it was Daleks v Cybermen, it was a football pitch, and it was also World Cup final. Was that planned deliberately? Because it was just, you looked at it and thought, they're plugging the two big main TV events on the weekend.
To be absolutely honest, your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
I know that they are nicely aware always of the zeitgeist. It's part of your mainstream thing. What's the British public thinking about right now? Let's give them something that builds on that, that get us more people along. But I'm not privy to stuff like that.
Any more questions from anybody? I think we're done. Just to say, on behalf of everybody, Paul Cornell, thank you very much for taking the time to come and see us.
I hope you enjoy the Sea Devil episodes when you see them.